Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. I'm straight out of the shower and I could not wait for my hair to dry before making this video because Lady Noelle, we've got the full details on her kit, and yeah, I'm going to be breaking it down. And she has, I know she's sort of like icy and like, oh, wait, where's it gone? Oh gosh, I broke it. There it is. Weird. I know she's like icy and frosty, but she has some very spicy interactions with Sir Nick. Okay. That media player really is having a rough day. But let's check it out. She's a void legendary support from the Sacred Order. Yeah, I just checked. So this fusion will begin on the 16th. That's Monday, the 16th of November. So in like 5 days from when you're watching this video. And it will be a classic fusion, which means it's one of the harder ones. You're going to be collecting rares, right? 16 rares to fuse into 4 epics to fuse up into her. She's a Void Affinity Christmas fusion, so I'm expecting it to be probably fairly hard. But let's take a look at her. Let's see what she's all about. Let's see what Plarium says first. So Plarium says about Lady Noelle that she is a dedicated arena support champion. Okay, and her kit has it all. Strong crowd control, AoE heal revives, all ally speed increases, and counterplays to polymorph and sheep-inducing champions. Interesting. Let's take a look at what she's got going on. So let's go from the bottom of her kit up. I think that makes more sense. Her aura, she has a 30% speed in arena battles aura. That's one of the best ones. That's equal to an arbiter. Very, very strong, actually. And like that almost, that makes her certainly worth considering just for that alone. Speed auras for arena are super powerful. And the more you have, the better almost. It feels like, it kind of feels like an essential to have a good one. And there's a decent chance there could be a hero's path or a deck of fate or a titan event or something like that that would give her a soul, and you could get yourself potentially like a 5-star intimidating presence for her, which could be very powerful. Her passive, Chiromantic Queen, decreases the speed of enemies under freeze debuffs by 10%. That's small, but kind of nice. When a sheep debuff expires on an ally, fills their turn meter by 50%. That's actually quite nice. That's cool. We like that. Bit of a counterplay to Polymorph. Now, Polymorph is falling out of the meta a little bit, right? Speed is very much king at the moment. Pinpoint set has really ensured that. But still, that's cool. Hearth Keeper, her A3. This has a 5-turn cooldown, but it books to a 3-turn. Revives all dead allies with 50% HP and turn meter. It's okay. It's a full team revive, and it's okay. Then has a 75 that books to 100% chance of placing a freeze debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Will place the freeze debuff even if there are no dead allies, and this debuff cannot be resisted or blocked if Sir Nicholas is on the same team. The combo at Sir Nicholas, it's actually a pretty good revive overall. It's kind of fun. So obviously block debuffs and Stone Skin are a really big problem, and Pinpoint as well. Pinpoint's a problem too. We'll block it. But I mean, let's say they kill one of your allies, you revive them, and then you freeze the enemy. So they're frozen. They can't kill the ally you just revived, or the team you just revived. So she can then basically enable them to take a turn. That's kind of fun. It's kind of funky. So much better when Sir Nicholas is there, because obviously block debuffs is super common in Arena. And, it's going to be hard to build resistance on her, or accuracy on her as well, probably. So yeah, this makes it a heck of a lot better. So interesting we see, stuff with Sir Nicholas. In fact, everything gets better with Sir Nicholas. Invigorating Chill, her A2. Target an ally. If the ally's under sheep, removes it. If they're not under sheep, removes all debuffs from them instead. If the target ally is not under sheep, heals them by 50% of this champion's max HP, and heals all allies equal to 50% of any surplus heal. If the target ally is Sir Nicholas, instantly activates his Goodwill skill, then puts a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Now this is actually bonkers. Let me break this down for you. Okay, so we're jumping into the game. Let's look at Sir Nicholas. We, by the way, have confirmation from Plarium that there are no plans to change anything about Sir Nicholas or his kit at all at the moment. I think this is actually kind of a pity. It's kind of sucks. I think he definitely could do with a buff. Obviously, this is a buff to him having Lady Noelle to pair with him, but I would have liked more. But what is this Goodwill skill that she can activate? This is Goodwill. Normally a 4-turn cooldown, puts Unkillable and continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns. Why is this so crazy? Well, presuming that this... Here's the big question mark. Does this put the skill on cooldown for Sir Nicholas or not? I'm guessing he just gets to cast it for free, and it doesn't interact with the cooldown. Why this is so crazy? Very simple. Unkillable. Very rare. Very, very rare buff. There are only 3 champions in the entire game right now that can put Unkillable on their team. Maneater, Sir Nicholas, and Emic. And guess what? I've gone to the wrong thing. And guess what? If this doesn't matter, if his skill's on cooldown or not, Lady Noelle has a full team, 2-turn Unkillable, on a 3-turn cooldown. If you cast this on Sir Nicholas, you can have basically permanent uptime pretty much on your team of Unkillable, just with the 2 together. I think that's actually bonkers. That has the potential to be so busted in so many places. Like, that is actually crazy. Yeah, she's the first 2-turn Unkillable buff on a 3-turn. Again, presuming, and I don't know for sure without testing, but presuming that, you know, so long as it won't put the skill on cooldown, and if the skill is on cooldown, he can just cast it anyway, and I'm pretty sure he can. It's also going to do a bit of healing for you as well, which is nice. But yeah, that has massive potential. Like, really, that really does. Removing the sheep debuff is cool, but man, casting this on Sir Nick seems crazy. And again, if you break Sir Nick free of being a sheep, I presume it would just activate his goodwill, and then, you know, he's back in the game, and Unkillable's on the team, which is cool. It's also increased speed for all allies. Now, let's look at our A1, and let's talk about this more in general. Ice Crack Staff. Attack one enemy. Has an 80 that goes to 100% chance of putting block buffs for 2 turns. Decreases the target's turn meter by 20% if they're under freeze. The effects cannot be resisted if Sir Nick's on the same team. Relatively weak. I mean, it's 100% block buffs. You know what? 100% block buffs is pretty nice. The turn meter manipulation is fairly underwhelming, I would think. Yeah, fairly underwhelming. But hey, there you go. I really think this champ has a lot of potential. So for Chimera, it's certainly an interesting question. Unfortunately, I can't look at Chimera properly because I've done my keys already, and now I can't see the boss guide, which is nice. Thanks, Raid. Thanks for that. Cheers. But you can use Unkillable. One of the trials for Chimera does require well, I think it's Unkillable, and is it block damage maybe? But that's a thing. He can help you deal with that. But this can also potentially just have massive uptime on Unkillable. He'll ignore it. He ignores Unkillable pretty easily when he's in his ultimate form. But you put her in with Sir Nick. Will it be worth it? I don't know. You can't freeze Chimera. Sir Nick's not doing all that much. He's giving you a shield. The 2 of them together will make it very easy to keep your team alive. And even without Sir Nick, I talked about how good Tagore is as a budget champion for players going into Chimera. I use him on my epic only team, but he has increased speed on all allies and a heal. And he also has got a revive with 30% HP and a shield. And it's a simple kit, but it comes together. This is a nice budget thing, right? Just a massive heal for your team. That's potentially very strong, plus increased speed for your team, full team revive. You know, it's not amazing. It's not top tier. But for newer players, for like a budget thing, not too bad. Now, her bigger area is definitely in the arena. It's hard to know how strong this will be. I don't know. It's definitely niche, but there's something to be said for this, because one combo you can do, which I think is quite interesting to counter, well, I mean, Siegfried. We think about, let's say, Siege and a Siegfried defense. Siegfried's horrendous, right? Smashes you, ignores 50% defense, attacks all remaining enemies at surplus damage if the initial target is killed. This is one of the most obnoxiously hard-hitting moves in the game. So difficult to deal with. I mean, you could potentially go in with a really fast Lady Noelle, and you could have a super slow Sir Nicholas and like Stone Skin Lethal, and your super fast Lady Noelle can just come in turn 1 and get 2 turns of Unkillable on everybody, and that blocks Siegfried from killing you. Pretty much full stop. And like, yeah, Sir Nick's not a great damage dealer, but against AI defenses in Siege, that could be very useful. We also know that there are going to be seasons for Live Arena, but we don't know what those are going to be. It's possible for sure that these Live Arena seasons could have rules where it might restrict factions. And if we do have restricted factions, Again, she might come in. I'm not confident at all about them being that good. And I think they're viable in live arena. Certainly not top tier. I think they are viable. And certainly for earlier players, they're going to be insanely good. For top end live arena, it's very difficult to be proper meta, right? I mean, you're going up against mythicals and you're going up against champions like, like Shuzen and like Marishka. It's very hard. Odin, very hard to be relevant in high end live arena. I think she's viable as a niche. Like, again, potentially just having a super fast, depending on what her base speed is and the speed aura and the potential to get a high intimidating presence blessing for her. I mean, the potential to have a super fast unkillable champion is kind of interesting. Now, of course, they could always ban it away. That's the problem. But it could, counter certain things. Like, could counter bombs, just live the bombs unkillable. Could be kind of funky. It could be. And it becomes a decent threat if you combo them with other strong speed champions. So let's say, I also have Armans on my team. And then I follow up Armans with Lady Noelle and Sir Nicholas. It becomes tricky. Do I ban Sir Nicholas and Lady Noelle's kind of not that great? But then they've got the Armans still. If I ban Armans, they have the duo. It's not amazing. Not amazing, but it is somewhat viable just because of this skill, I think. It makes it somewhat viable. And, helping with polymorph, somewhat viable as well. I have to say, I'm curious. I'm curious how she'll actually work in practice. I feel like, as well, you probably build her just very high HP for a big heal and to keep her alive, and probably very fast to cycle through these moves. Realistically, she has a 3-turn cooldown. If Sir Nick is there, 3-turn cooldown, AoE, unblockable, irresistible freeze. That's very good. And a 3-turn cooldown unkillable. Like, I genuinely think the two of them together are kind of busted, is my feeling for most players. Their big weakness is going to be buff strips, but again, with limited factions, that could be very strong. Like, I mean, if for example, there's a Tolarian League only limitation in live arena, or again, going into seat, there's very little buff stripping. Maud can strip buffs, but very few people have Maud. Venus can strip buffs if she is with Cupidus. I mean, again, Venus Cupidus, not exactly a top tier arena duo. It becomes relatively difficult to actually. Maybe there's others. Pintor, I think he doesn't strip buffs here. He puts block buffs. That's pretty all right. He can steal buffs on his A1. And it's limited in the faction. It's even limited enough. Obviously, Armans would dominate in such a mode, and Odin. But there is definitely some potential. So I definitely would wait pending the playtest. Let's see her in playtest. Let's see how it actually performs. Maybe it's okay. I don't know. I would actually say, by the way, it's very likely we'll see a soul event like we had for Hansel and Gretel for her and Sir Nicholas, and that could be super expensive. But for like whales and krakens, might be worth doing. Honestly, like this is a bigger question, I think, for the low spend or free to play end game player. It's like, oh, they might be good for a new game mode, but then again, that's a might. It's not they definitely will be. It's they might be good. They might be. Live Arena Seasons. Is that worth it? Siege. Is it worth it or not? The big investment to get both of them and potentially have to get the souls for both as well. For a whale or a kraken, it seems like that might is enough of a thing. It's probably worth grabbing them, right? If you're a big spender, why the heck not? For early game players, again, I think unlike the late game free-to-play low spend, for early mid-game players, when your roster is limited, I think the two together are looking to me like they could have enough synergy that it is probably worth it. I mean, like there you go. Demon Lord's dead. I guess. Ooh, I don't know. How does she work on auto as well? Maybe on full auto, she just never casts on Sir Nicholas. And you're like, we're just dead. But I mean, just her plus Sir Nicholas. There you go. You've got an unkillable team for Hydra. You've got an unkillable team for Clan Boss. You've got an unkillable team for Chimera. Iron Twins ignores unkillable, but still. And yeah, like ultimate form of Chimera starts to ignore unkillable pretty quickly, but Sir Nick puts out a big shield. You'll be fine, right? And she's going to be tanky. She's got a full team revive. You're not going to be under any stress. I think this is such an interesting fusion. I dig it, actually. I'm very intrigued. Yeah, I'm very intrigued. I do feel like the anti-polymorph thing, like polymorph has sort of fallen out of the meta. I think this would have been a bigger deal a little while ago, pre-pinpoint, really. And now we're going to have, this is also something to consider too, guys. We're going to have relics. Do any of the relics like really synergize with? I think that this one's very good. Hallowed Hilt, speed, HP resistance. Yeah, when you heal an ally, this goes up to a 50% chance to put fervor on them, which is 10% more damage. Would you put this on your Lady Noelle? Maybe for siege you might. But that's nuts. But like that's such a nuts relic. You probably put it on almost anyone. Um, of course, for the polymorph meta as well, and this is also affecting her with freeze. This wand of subjugation that upgrades to a 50% chance to reflect stun, sleep, fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, petrification, and sheep. So again, that pushes. This wand is going to wreck polymorph when we go a bit further. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I have to say, I am curious. I'm really curious how this is going to work. Yeah. They can't really work very well and go second either. I think you are going to need to build them fast and use their aura, because if you lock them out, you're screwed, right? It's something I'm concerned. Like I think people really underestimated how good Ancora was when she came out. Like any reviver fusion with a speed aura, I'm like instantly like, yeah, yo, count me in. This is probably going to be better than we think. Like Uko, Pythion, they've all been super useful. I expect the same thing here with her, to be honest. But Ancora, she does give you a way to fight back against lockout and fight back against crowd control. She fits more in a go second. I feel like Lady Noelle, I've gone to the wrong damn thing again. I feel like Lady Noelle, if she doesn't go first, she's kind of screwed, right? Unless you build her with super high resistance, which may be super high resistance and just try chill unkillable. I don't know. You could get, I don't know. It's risky. It's risky. But there you go, guys. Let me know what you think about her. I think this is going to be a divisive one, probably. But I mean, for me, I'm just looking. I'm looking at this kit and I see the potential. Like, if that's a 3-turn cooldown unkillable, guys, that's freaking bonkers. That's crazy. A 3-turn cooldown unkillable. Wow. Yeah. I'll see. Let me know what you think. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.